I never liked the night shift. There's something about the quiet that doesn't sit right. The way the fluorescent lights hum above your head, and the hum of the air conditioning feels almost too loud when no one else is around. But it was easy money, and I needed the hours. That's why I was there, alone in the office building at 2:17 a.m., monitoring the security cameras while the rest of the city slept. It started out normal: emails, filing, the occasional phone call. But something about the building felt off. The janitor had left hours ago, the cleaning crew wouldn't be back until morning, and my only company was the flickering screens in the security room. I brushed it off. My imagination had a way of making the hum of a fluorescent bulb sound like a whisper. I was reviewing the cameras when I noticed him. At first, I thought it was a glitch, a trick of the grainy black and white footage. But no, there was a man standing in the parking garage, right at the far end where the lights barely reached. He wasn't moving, just standing there, hands in his pockets. My stomach twisted. Employees were supposed to leave by 7 p.m., and security had already cleared the lot. I picked up the radio to call it in. "Security, this is Logan. I have an unknown in the garage. Can we..." Static. Nothing. I tried again, harder this time. Still nothing. I shrugged it off. Maybe it was a dead spot. But the figure hadn't moved. My pulse picked up. I pulled on my jacket and decided to check it out myself. The garage was silent, save for my boots echoing against the concrete. The man was gone. I blinked, scanning the shadows, telling myself I had imagined it, but then I saw the footprint in the dust. It was fresh, heavy, deliberate. Someone had been there. Someone had followed me from the cameras to the garage without leaving a trace. A knock echoed somewhere deep in the building. I froze. That wasn't supposed to happen. All doors were locked, and I was the only one inside. My phone was in my pocket. I fumbled to call the front desk, but it went straight to voicemail. "Hello?" I whispered, but the only answer was my own shaky breath. I grabbed a flashlight and started walking down the corridor. The walls were lined with closed offices, their blinds drawn, doors locked. But the knock came again, closer this time. Then a shuffle, like someone was dragging a heavy foot across the carpet. My hand tightened around the flashlight. I called out, "Security? Is someone there?" No answer. I reached the break room and stopped cold. The lights were off, but the faint smell of coffee, burned coffee, hung in the air. That didn't make sense. The machine wasn't even on. Then I saw it. The chair was spinning slowly, as if someone had just vacated it. My heart hit my throat. I backed toward the door, telling myself it was a prank, a late-night employee messing with me. But then the sound of someone breathing, sharp and deliberate, came from the corner. I swung the flashlight. Nothing. Just shadows. I was about to run back to the security room when the intercom clicked on. A distorted voice, low and steady, whispered, "You shouldn't be here." I froze. The intercom wasn't supposed to work unless you hit the button manually, and I hadn't touched it. Panic surged. I bolted. Down the hallway, the fluorescent lights flickered, casting long, twitching shadows. My footsteps echoed, joined now by another, slow, heavy, deliberate, matching mine step for step. I ran into the stairwell, heart hammering, and slammed the door behind me. The footsteps stopped. I pressed my back against the cold metal, trying to slow my breathing. Minutes passed. Then, just as I started to convince myself I had imagined everything, the doorknob rattled. I spun around, flashlight swinging, and froze. There was no one there. But then I realized someone had unlocked it from the other side. My stomach dropped. I ran down 3 flights of stairs, not caring about the noise, not caring about anything except getting out. At the lobby, the glass doors were still locked. My keycard, which normally worked instantly, refused to open the door. Then I heard it, a soft, dragging sound behind me. The kind of sound that makes your blood run cold because you know it's deliberate, patient, and waiting for you to make the wrong move. I ducked behind the reception desk, flashlight shaking in my hands. My mind raced. Security cameras, radios, alarms, none of it worked. Whoever this was, they had been inside, watching, waiting. And then, just as suddenly as it began, it stopped. Silence. Complete silence, broken only by my own heartbeat. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just waited, listening to every creak of the building, every whisper of the air conditioning. And I knew, deep down, that whoever or whatever had been there wasn't gone. Not really. I never finished that shift. I left, keycard on the desk, flashlight still trembling in my hands, and never looked back. But sometimes when I work another night shift somewhere else, I swear I can feel it. Those slow, deliberate footsteps just behind me, waiting for the lights to flicker. I started my shift at the Gas and Go at 11 p.m., the kind of place that feels like it's been forgotten by the world. It's 40 miles from the nearest town, tucked at the end of a cracked asphalt road with no streetlights. The building was old, fluorescent lights flickering overhead, and the hum of the refrigerators sounded louder than it should in the dead of night. The first hour was uneventful. I restocked the shelves, rang up a few late-night stragglers, mostly truckers, and kept the cameras on the little screen behind the counter. But after midnight, everything changed. I was checking inventory when I heard the door chime. I looked up. No one was there. The bell chimed again. I froze. It wasn't supposed to do that if the door was locked, and I knew I hadn't seen anyone walk in. I walked to the front, hesitating. The parking lot was empty, bathed in the dim yellow of the lone street lamp outside. The gravel crunched under my shoes, but nothing moved. I laughed nervously. "Okay, probably just the wind," I muttered. I went back to the counter, but the feeling wouldn't leave. The store seemed wrong. Too quiet, too still. I shrugged, thinking I was just tired, and returned to stocking energy drinks. Then the cash register beeped. Not from a transaction. Someone had pressed a key. I whipped around. Nothing. I checked the cameras. All 3 entrances to the store. Empty. My stomach knotted. I called the night manager at the main station. No answer. Not unusual, but now my sense of unease was turning into something sharper. I went to the back room to grab more stock. As I passed the security monitor, I saw him, a man, tall, wearing a dark hoodie, standing near the entrance. My heart jumped. He hadn't been there a second ago. I grabbed the phone to call 911, but then he disappeared. The cameras didn't catch him leaving. It was like he'd just vanished. I told myself it was a trick of the shadows. This place was full of corners, shelves, and dark spaces where someone could hide. Still, my pulse wouldn't settle. Then the door chime rang again. My stomach dropped. I wasn't at the front. I crept toward the sound, flashlight in hand. The bell had a hollow, eerie echo in the empty store. The air smelled faintly of stale coffee and bleach. I reached the front counter, empty, but the door was unlocked. I never unlocked it. I backed up slowly, heart hammering. Then I saw it, a note taped to the glass. No handwriting I recognized, just 3 words, "I see you." I spun around, flashlight trembling. The back door slammed. I ran. I checked the cameras. The man wasn't anywhere. But there, on the monitor, he was behind me, inside the storage room. How? I grabbed a broom for something, anything, and edged toward the back. My reflection in the metal shelves looked like a ghost, wide-eyed and pale. I could hear his breathing now, slow, steady, deliberate. It was coming from the shadows. I ducked into the office to hide. The small room had a single window looking into the store, but I couldn't see anything. I clutched my phone, fingers shaking, trying to get a signal. No bars. Great. Just great. Then I heard it, a shuffle, like boots on the linoleum, coming closer, very close. The office door rattled. I slammed it shut, pressed my back against it. My flashlight caught the corner of the room, and for a split second I saw him. Tall, hood up, standing perfectly still, just watching. "Who's there?" I demanded, voice breaking. No answer. I remembered the emergency exit code. They keep it on the wall behind the counter. I risked it, slipping the door open just enough to reach it, fingers fumbling. Then I heard the slow steps again. Someone was moving toward me. I hit the code, and the door swung open. I ran, not looking back, into the night, gravel flying under my feet. The air hit my face, cold and sharp. I could still hear him, maybe, but it was impossible to tell with the wind and the isolation. I didn't stop running until I reached my car half a mile down the road. I didn't lock it. I didn't care. I just drove. I never went back to that store. My boss asked why I quit without notice. I told him I had a family emergency. He didn't press, and I never told anyone what happened that night. Not because I was ashamed, but because I know people would say it was impossible, that maybe I imagined it. But sometimes, when I drive past that stretch of road late at night, I see a light flicker inside the old Gas and Go, and I remember the shuffle behind me, the calm patience of someone waiting, watching. I don't stop for gas anymore. not on that road. The grocery store was supposed to be empty. I was scheduled for the late-night stock shift from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., and the doors were already locked when I arrived. The manager had given me the keys and the alarm code, but warned me to double-check everything before heading out to the aisles. I laughed at myself when I first walked in. It was too quiet, too still. Even the refrigerators seemed louder in the dead of night, humming and clicking like they had their own heartbeat. I told myself it was normal and started my rounds. Half an hour in, I heard it, a faint click, like a door handle being tested. I froze. The front doors were locked, the security system armed, and I was alone. I chalked it up to nerves. Maybe a janitor had come early. But no, the cleaning crew didn't come until 1 a.m., and I hadn't seen anyone. Then I heard it again, this time closer. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate, not the shuffle of a clumsy intruder, but controlled. Someone had made it in. I ducked behind the end cap of the cereal aisle, heart hammering, trying to calm myself. The thought of calling 911 flickered through my mind, but my phone had no signal in the back of the store. I was cut off. I could hear them now. Footsteps across the tile floor, soft but steady. I peeked around the shelf. A man stood near the frozen foods, motionless. He wasn't wearing a mask or carrying anything. His hood was up, hiding his face, and his hands were empty. I couldn't tell what he wanted. "Who's there?" My voice sounded small, almost swallowed by the vast aisles. No answer. I thought about the emergency exit, but even that would take me past him. Every route out seemed wrong. My mind raced. He wasn't behaving like a robber. He didn't want money or products. He just waited, watched. I tried to make myself calm. Maybe if I walked slowly toward the manager's office, I could lock myself in until morning. I crept along the edge of the aisles, flashlight trembling in my hands. Every step felt loud, amplified. Then I saw him move. He didn't run, didn't charge. He simply turned and walked to the end of the aisle, stopping to stare at the cereal shelves, almost casually. That's what terrified me. There was nothing rational about it. He wasn't there for something tangible. He was there. I ducked behind a display, heart hammering in my ears. I needed a plan. I considered the loading dock, but I would have to pass him. I considered hiding until morning, but I knew he could find me anywhere. He had the patience to wait, and that was worse than anything. I edged toward the back office, hugging the wall. The fluorescent lights flickered. He turned toward me. I froze. His face was still hidden, but I could feel the weight of his gaze. I knew he could see me, even without looking directly. I reached the office door. It was locked. My fingers shook as I fumbled with the keys. Behind me, I heard a slow, deliberate step, one step, then another. He was approaching. I slammed the door and locked it, pressing my body against it. He didn't bang or try to break it. He just stood there. I could hear him breathing, slow and steady, waiting, patient, watching. Minutes passed. My chest felt like it would burst. I couldn't tell if he had left or if he was just lying in wait, pretending to be gone. My phone buzzed, a single bar of signal. I tried calling 911, but the line was dead. The panic was rising, and then I heard it, the soft scrape of metal on tile. He had moved. My blood ran cold. He wasn't looting, wasn't taking anything. He was just there, just inside the building, inside my head, inside every corner I turned. I realized the truth. I wasn't safe anywhere in the store. He didn't need a weapon. He didn't need money. He was the danger. The randomness, the unpredictability was what made him lethal. All I could do was wait, stay silent, hope he moved on. Hours passed like days. I eventually fell into a terrified, uneasy doze in the corner of the office. Flashlight on, keys clutched in my hand. When the morning crew finally arrived, he was gone. No sign of a break-in, no fingerprints, nothing. Just me, shaking, staring at the aisles, wondering what he wanted, or why he even came. I never went back to that store alone. I never stayed late again. I don't know who he was or why he picked me, but I'll never forget that feeling. The knowing that someone could be inside a building, right behind you, with no reason, no motive, and no mercy.